Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome back. We are continuing our journey through rabbits. We are hopping at a good leisurely thing through this novel. So let's go on down the rabbit hole.
It was this obsession with finding patterns and cracking codes that may or may not have actually been codes at all.
No, I like creating codes. I like doing ciphers or making my own ciphers and seeing how long it takes somebody to figure out what I've done as a cipher and cracking it. That I love doing that. Now, as far as breaking ciphers, I don't know if I could do it or not because just the way the silly putty is shaped in my head. I don't know. I've never really tried it. I just like creating ciphers. They're fun.
That resulted in me being labeled slightly neurodiverse, a diagnosis that landed me on a number of different medications.
Neurodivergence. Yeah, dyslexia is considered a form of neurodivergence from what I understand. Released in the Texas Independent School System.
And a handful of different therapists' couches. It was also this obsession that eventually led me into the world of rabbits. When asked to pinpoint the precise moment they'd heard about the game.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how things like that, how different people that chemical experiment that we have in our heads, how we all have the basic same chemicals floating around, but how each individual person's brain utilizes them and mixes them and comes up with some crazy stuff. It's interesting.
People often can't remember. Maybe they'd seen something on some obscure online bulletin board, or read a snippet of a conversation about hidden kill screens in arcade games from the 1980s.
Yeah, the thing is, there's always a whole bunch of... I remember as a kid growing up, like Space Ace or Dragon's Lair. Those were the two big Laserdisc games at that time, and there was supposed to be secret screens and all kinds of really stuff. Never know. Don't think any of it was true. I just think it was just a collective mythology.
Or perhaps it was a friend of a friend talking about a kid who died while playing a strange Atari 2600 game that nobody can remember actually existing.
Yeah, there was a game, I think it was one of the Zelda games, that there was supposed to be a level or something that was locked and you had to do it. You had to do certain things within a certain amount of time from the time you put the game in the and yeah, I think there's something like that on one of the Zelda games, or maybe a can't think of the name of it. Mario games. The one of the original Mario games. Like I said, I never really played video games. A good friend of mine to this day plays a lot of different video games. So yeah, used to watch him play video games. Moon Patrol, different Mario games, a lot of the side scrollers of the 80s.
I remember exactly where I was standing when I first heard the name Rabbits. It was at a party in Lakewood, Washington. Growing up in Olympia, Washington, just about an hour south of Seattle.
You know what I would love to do? If I had the money to do it, is go to Seattle and go to like all the street names, street corners and stuff that they mention in the podcast and in the novel. And, do like a film, because people do that with the Fallout games. They go to the Fallout locations, this, and today, in our world, this is this, and this is the parallel in the Fallout. I wonder if you could do that with rabbits in Seattle. That would be cool.
I'd heard the stories about Polybius, the video arcade game that allegedly killed some kids in Oregon. But this mysterious game was different, more enigmatic, and perhaps even more sinister.
Of course. Everything from the 80s was sinister. You had that whole big satanic panic thing going on.
Like Polybius, this game had whispers surrounding it that included men in gray suits and potential mind-altering consequences for...
Yeah, especially if you go into season 1 of the Rabbits podcast.
...participation. But unlike Polybius, nobody was actually talking about this game. At least, not until I attended that party.
Interesting. Makes you wonder if she was invited by somebody knowing she'd stumble into it, or if it was just random. I can't remember. It's just one of those small details from the book I can't remember.
Bill and Madeline Connors were close family friends who hosted a 4th of July celebration every...
Oh, yeah, it wasn't, that was her parents' friends' daughters, I think, had come across rabbits. And, yeah, they were teenagers. Yeah, I remember now. Let's try not to spoil it for the people, though.
...year. They had 2 daughters, Annie and Emily, 1 and 3 years older than me, respectively. The Connors sisters had the best taste in music, and they always wore the coolest clothes. A lot of belts and a lot of hats.
And in the 80s, yeah, that could have been just horrible. Well, not during the 80s. It's one of those things when you become an adult, you sober up, and you look back at the fashions of your childhood, you go, oh God, we wore that?
At this particular party, they were both wearing tall, striped, Dr. Seuss-looking hats that they'd bought at what they assured me was the hippest store on Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles.
Oh. That sounds... Melrose Avenue. I don't know. I first heard about it. It may have been late 80s, right about the time I was graduating high school. Maybe early 90s. I know I'd heard about it before the show. But I don't remember. I know that I heard about it before the show. I can't remember if it was late 80s or early 90s, though.
I took their word for it. At the time, I'd never been farther south than Oakland to attend sailing camp.
Hey, salmon camp. It's an important camp.
Our parents were in the backyard playing a drunken game of lawn darts.
Yep, 80s.
I entered the house to get a Coke, something I was never allowed to drink at home, and overheard Annie and Emily talking. They were huddled in front of the family computer, staring at something on the screen.
And that would have been the days of the 8-bit graphics and the plug your phone into the modem thing.
Did you figure out how to load EverQuest or what? Annie
hated that game.
Asked. I have something better, Emily replied, bringing up a screen I recognized. I had a pretty clear view from where I was hiding, just inside the kitchen doorway. They were looking at a Usenet news group.
Usernet.
Annie leaned in to get a better look. What's alt.binaries.games?
We will find that out in the next video. So, until next time, everybody, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?